Well, I'm back over the woods again. Today I wanna talk about. I feel like talking about maybe expanding upon my own law. So I think I've said before, I didn't really have any friends at school, so I'd always be around old people. My nan and some other old people and stuff, and I'll go to bingo. And that was my big social thing for the weekend. Yeah, sad, but I just liked spending time with my nan. She was we just got on. She understood my sense of humour. She would pick up on it and sort of pull a face, that I know what you're saying. My own mum, kind of, she's like too serious. She doesn't really pick up on when I'm being sarcastic and stuff. My nan did, and she would sort of look at you. She would have a look. But so I knew my nan my whole life. She was always there, and lived down the road from me, and go over and see her. I'll go for a long walk over the fields or wherever, and then I'll come back to my nan. And yeah, so I never went to see her because I wanted something. I went to see her because I just enjoyed seeing her. And if I hadn't been round, because I would go round there quite often, and if I hadn't been round for more than a week, she would call me and say, "I haven't seen you for a long time. Where have you been? What have you been doing?" So yeah, we were pretty close. We were just on the same level, and so yeah, she had her partners who were kind of like, they were just divs, like divvy old men, but she was like her own person. She kind of didn't need anybody, but she just liked having a man around, I suppose. So her I remember she had this old northerner, and he was like, "Oh, I'm that. No, don't do that. No, we don't go there." So that's why sometimes when I talk, I just say something in a northern accent because of him. He rubbed off on me, I suppose. No, we don't go there. We don't do that. No. But he lived with her for about 10 years, I think. He lived with her for quite a while. So he he was very kind of, he didn't really like the family. He didn't really like people coming round and stuff. So I'd come round and he'd be sitting there in the back room, and he'd be sitting there reading the newspaper, and I'd say, "All right, mate," and he would just look up at me and then just look down at the paper and go, yeah. So that's how he was. Just leave me to it, I suppose. Um, so my nan was sort of she was sort of finding it more and more difficult to walk around. And this is a few years ago now. This is like maybe 5 years ago now, and she was finding it more and more difficult to move around and stuff like that, and she wasn't really capable of going out to places as she used to, as her, the old northerner was just like, oh, every year we go to Benidorm and you can come with me and all this sort of thing. We'll go and walk round the bazaar and all this. And she would turn to me and she'd say, I don't really want to go. I've had enough. I don't want to go on holiday anymore. I want to stay at home. I'm not capable of walking as far as he does anymore. And I said, well, you should tell him. You should be honest with him. But then he... there was a time when I said to her, well, she was saying to me about, we'll take you over to Hampshire. That's where we go over there and you can go see the rest of the family and introduce you to people you've never met before and all this sort of thing. And then the old fella, he butts in and he goes, no, we're not doing that. No, we're going to Benidorm like we usually do. No, we don't go there. We don't do that. Yeah. He's a dickhead, basically. He's, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why she ever really put up with it. But like I say, it was probably just, yeah, it was probably just company, I suppose. And that's it, but anyway, she was finding more and more difficult to be mobile and stuff, and she was going to the doctors for all sorts of different things, her eyes or whatever else, and then one day he just packed up and left, and he was like, no, I've had enough, I'm going home. And that was it. And he just packed up and left. He was done. And so she was just on her own. And then she said to me, she said, I'm finding it more and more difficult to move around. I'm finding it more difficult to do things now. Could you stay with me? And I said, absolutely. Yeah, I can stay with you. But I didn't actually end up doing much for her. She was capable of doing things. I mean, I'd cook tea and stuff for her, whatever. But I think mainly she just wanted the company, right? She just wanted someone there, and she just liked having my company. So yeah, I ended up moving in with her, and I lived with her for about a few years, I think. Yeah. She had a good mind, she had a good mind, and we could have some interesting intellectual conversations or whatever. I put stuff on the telly, and she was interested enough to watch almost everything and anything, and so I'd show her films from my collection and stuff like that, films she'd never seen before, and then she would just go, oh, I quite like that, that was good, that was, I've never seen that film before, and yeah, it was good. But yeah, it was just mainly, she just wanted company, and I was happy to give her company. Yeah. And I remember I just stuck on anything on the telly. There was this time I was just like cooking a roast dinner in the kitchen, right? And she, I just left something on the telly, and it was a documentary about Napoleon. And And so I was cooking the tea and stuff, and I come in and I prepared her tea, and I brought her tea in and put it on a tray and gave it to her, and I got on the sofa, and she's going, "Wow, I didn't know this. This is so interesting. Oh, this is a really interesting program," and all this sort of thing. And then I sit down on the sofa and I'm like, all right, okay. And then I put my legs up, and then I just end up falling asleep in the chair. I guess because it was hot. It was always hot in that place. It was just so just baking hot, right? And I hated that, and it wouldn't take long for me to just sit there and pass out after a while. So yeah, yeah, she enjoyed my company. It was it was a good time. Yeah, I then got a job where I was working at a pub, and I got a bike sorted out and stuff, and I was going back and forth to the pub for work and that, and she started to kind of she wanted me to stay there as often as possible, and she kind of she didn't like me leaving, and I said, all right, Nan, I'm going to the pub, I'm going to work, and she'd say to me, can you quit, please, because I need help, who's going to do my cups of tea for me, and I said, yeah, that's all right, I'd just be out for a few hours, and then I'll come back, it'll be all right, I'll be back soon. And and then they gave me more and more shifts, more hours and stuff, and so yeah, and then there was this one day when I come back from the pub, and I put my bike in the shed, and I come in, and she's sitting there, and she looks up at me, and she looks sort of concerned, kind of worried. And I said, "You all right, Nan? How you doing?" And she looks up at me, and I said, "Are you all right?" And she goes, "Oh, I've wet myself." And I said, "What? Now? Just where you're sitting?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I was like, okay, to me, I was kind of like, okay, why are you telling me for? Why don't you go to the toilet and clean yourself up and that? Because she wasn't, she was all together. And that was the first time, that first instance that I noticed that she was starting to change, right? And she was starting to have problems, and she didn't, because normally she would just joke about it. She would just go, "Oh, silly me," "Oh, I should," or whatever. But she wasn't, and I was looking at her like, "What are you doing? Go to the toilet then." And I was treating her like I would normally treat her, because that was the first time of that actually happening. So, yeah. And then one night she woke me up, and she said, wake up, I need help." And I said, "What's wrong? What's the matter?" "The boiler's not working." And so I go in, and I'm like, "The boiler's on a timer. It's on a timer. There's nothing you can do about it. You wait for it to turn on." And she goes, "Well, it should have gone off now. It should have come back on now." And so I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess we just have to reset the boiler." So I went into the room, and I was going to press the button to reset the boiler, and she goes, no, 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 don't press anything. And I said, why? Because if you do anything, the boiler might explode. And I said, yes, okay. And then literally 5 seconds later, the boiler comes on. The heating comes on. I'm like, oh, there you go, okay. All right, I'm going to bed now. But yeah, if she ever did anything daft, she would be self-aware and joke about it, right? But it was coming to a point where she wasn't being self-aware anymore. Yeah, I kept at the working, kept doing my job, and she went to bingo. She would go to bingo on a Saturday, and I would go to work, and then one night I come home from work, and she brought this old fella back, Thomas. So yes, Thomas is an interesting fellow. I've known Thomas before then, anyway. When I was younger, when I was late teens, I used to go to the bingo and I'd see him there. And I remember the first time I ever met him, he sat next to me, and he started. That was actually the first time I ever went to bingo. So it was probably about 14, something like that. And he turns to me, and he's like from London, right? He's from London, so he turns to me and he says, my son is an idiot and a layabout, and his catchphrase was always, cool mate, bleeding useless bloke that boy was, cool mate. There was this one day, right, when he was young, he walked for miles to come and visit me, and it was pouring down with rain on this day, you see. And I was going, right, okay. And he said, so he come to my door, he knocked on the door, and I answered. Do you know what I did? And I said, he gave him a towel, and he said, no, I slammed the bleeding door in his face. I don't want him coming in my house getting the floor all wet. And I was like looking around the table, trying to get eye contact with people. Like, did anybody else just hear this conversation? This bizarre old man whittering on about some bullshit. Like, I'm looking around, and nobody was paying attention. And yeah. So I was like, yeah, he's a strange fellow. But yeah, and then this night, he just appeared. He just materialised, sitting next to my nan on the sofa. And I come in, I come in from work, and I was like, oh no, she wants him to stay for company. I knew what was going on. I was like, oh no. Because I was getting more and more hours and stuff, and I wasn't about as often as she had liked. So she decided to say to Thomas, "Oh, why don't you come and stay at mine? Come and live with me." Because only literally 4 days before, his wife's funeral just happened, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get with this other woman now." So yeah, yes. Now, Thomas is an interesting character. Now, my first impressions was like, this guy's a wanker, But then, so anyway, what happened with the situation is that with Thomas moving in, I said, I'm going to leave. I'm going to move out. But because it's a small bungalow, and don't really want to. She's got proper company there now, so I've got no reason to be there. So I was like, yeah, I'll move out, and I'll come and visit you often, anytime, and so yeah, I left, and they she was okay with it, and she didn't mind. But I still came to see her regularly, and he was he was a character, definitely. He was a fascinating man, fascinating as in, like, I don't know how he has lived this long, because he is so dumb, basically. He has no grey matter left inside of his brain. He's completely gone, right? He's vacant. There are so many fucking things I can talk about that he has said or done. There's so much I can say. And my nan, right, she would just sit there and roll her eyes, right? I don't know why she put up with him at all. I don't know why she didn't just tell him to leave, because he was a moron. He was also so rude, so sort of, he would just interrupt the conversation and start talking about something completely different. He would be very, trying to offend people and stuff. But yeah, he was definitely a moron. But he would talk about his time in the army, right? And so, he'd talk about when he was stationed in West Germany and stuff in the 1950s, and he was like, yeah, I was there for 5 years. I did 5 years, and then I come back, and I was back on Civvy Street. Cool, mate. And then a few weeks later, I don't know what happened, right? But he would repeat his stories, but every time he would repeat his stories, it would be completely different from how he told it before. So I don't know what happened. I don't know whether he was senile, or whether he was trying to bullshit me, because he was like, well, young people don't know anything. Cool, mate. Back in my day, and oh, you wouldn't know, you weren't there, and all this sort of thing. That's what he would say if he was pressed on anything. And a few times my uncles used to press him on certain subjects. And he'd go, oh, you wouldn't know, you weren't there. But he would say, one moment it'd be talking about his time in West Germany, and then the next moment it'd be talking about his time as in World War II fighting the Russians, being stationed in Poland. And I'm like, what? Pardon? What? Poland? Do you know where the Iron Curtain was, Tom? Do you know, do you know the difference between World War II and the Cold War? But yeah, it was quite peculiar, quite strange. So yeah. And then there was the time when he told me about a credit card he found in town. And he said, cool, mate, I found this bleeding credit card on the floor, right? And so, you know what I did? I went home and I called the bank, and I told the bank that I found this credit card. And do you know what happened next? They just kept asking me all these bleeding questions about who the card belongs to. Do you know what I did? I just put the phone down. I'm not going to be interrogated. Cool, mate, I didn't do nothing wrong. And that was a time when I said to him, because normally he would just tell me some bullshit story, some absolute fucking nonsense, right? And I would sit there and I'd just be like, yeah, okay, fair enough, I'd just humour him, and because you don't want to ruin anything, do you? You don't want to ruin you don't want to ruin it, you want to keep drawing out more nonsense from him. But this was a time when I actually said to him, no, Tom, you should no, you got to call them back. You got to call them back because they need to know who the card belongs to, so they can, whatever. It's obvious. And he's going, "Oh, mate, bleeding. Where was my bleeding reward?" And I said, "Reward? Just call them back. Just call them back." So, yeah. Yes, and they used to like watching the cowboys. When I was living there, we'll have anything on, and my nan was pretty chill. She was happy to watch anything on the telly, but when Tom showed up, "Oh no, we don't have nothing weird on the telly. We don't have nothing weird. No. We watch cowboy films, and that's what we watch." Cool, mate. And he we'd be watching a cowboy film, and he'd be giving you facts about what's going on. He'd be giving you facts, These facts were just complete bullshit, right? He'd be sitting there and be going, "You see, this film is wrong. Those Indians, right? They never had straight arrows, you see. They were always curves, and these old films, they get it wrong. They always got it wrong." And I was like, right, okay. Alright. So, oh yes, there's the interesting time when I was talking about pyramids, right? And I was talking to my nan, and I was saying that I want to go on holiday and I want to go to see the pyramids in Mexico, and Teotihuacan, and I'd like to see Machu Picchu in Peru and stuff like that. And I was talking to my nan about it, and then he'd butt in, and he's like, "In Mexico? Pyramids in Mexico? Ah, you see, you're not that clever, because the pyramids are in Egypt." And I was like, yeah, okay. Anyway, but yes. And then there was the time when he said, what was it? Something like, "You see, these Indians, right? Why did they have to be different for? Do you know what I mean? Why did they have to be different?" And I said, "What do you mean, Tom?" "Well, you see, in America, right, when you have the whites, and then you have the Indians. Why do the Indians have to be different for? Why can't they just speak English and believe in God like everybody else? Why do they have to be different?" And I said, because they didn't know English to start with. English didn't exist in America, and and I started to explain to him, and it wasn't going in at all. And he's got his mouth open, and he's just staring at me, and it's like, it's not going in. And that's the moment I realised this guy is a retard, and whatever I say doesn't matter. So, yeah. But apparently he was always like that. Yeah. But yeah, I got many more stories. I got many more things to say about him. He's a fascinating human being. But when he dies, I think his brain should be given to science like Einstein was, because When Einstein was, his brain was like dissected, and they did like cross sections, and they found that his brain was absolutely filled with grey matter, right? I think it would be really important to have Tom, his brain dissected, because it would show the complete opposite to Albert Einstein, a man who was living in his entire life with no grey matter. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I remember the time when I said, "Does anybody want to watch Schindler's List?" And then Tom he turned to me and he goes, "Whose list?" "Schindler's List, Tom." And he's like, "Right, what's that about?" "Oh, you see, it's about what the Nazis did to the Jews." What what did they do to the Jews?" And I was like, And then my nan, she leans in and she goes, "They exterminated them, Tom?" "Oh, did they? What'd they do that for?" "Cool, mate. It's not nice, is it?" And so we watched the film, and then and this it gave him like this like a profound realization. So we watched the film, and after the film he was going, "I cannot believe this happened. I cannot believe they did that. Oh my, I cannot. Oh, cool, mate. I cannot bleeding believe that. Oh, mate. The bleeding. The cheek on the Germans. That must have been why we went to war with them. Oh, mate. I didn't know this happened. I cannot believe this happened." He's going, and then he gets up and he just walks out of the room, and he's still talking to himself. And then I look at my nan, and she turns to me, and then she's just like, she rolls her eyes and just starts shaking her head. And fucking, yeah, it's just daft, you know, just daft. But yeah, I could tell stories all day about him. Yeah, so anyway, it's probably time to get probably time to get to what happened with his son. It's quite heavy. So yeah, his son, that same son that I mentioned earlier, where he slammed the door in his face. You know, he come to his door soaking wet. But yeah, his son was like, he was in his 60s, right? He was a hermit. He never left his house. He had lots of mental health problems and all this sort of thing. And Tom couldn't even get his head round it, right? He couldn't even understand it. And he just called his son, he's just lazy. He's just a lazy bloke. He just never did anything with himself. So this bloke, he had a lot of problems. He also never had any friends, and he had like particular interests and stuff, and he had like this huge collection and stuff in his house or whatever, in his flat. He never married, he never had any children or anything, and so the only connection he had with anybody was with Tom, his dad, right? And so every time I go to see my nan, and it'll get, I don't know, something like about 8 p.m, right? Every single day I was there, when it comes to about 8 p.m, Tom's phone will start ringing, and it'll be his son, and he'll go out into the hall, and he'll talk to his son, and I mean, to me it's a no-brainer. This guy is fucking lonely, he's probably depressed, and he's probably desperate to talk to someone, right? So yeah, they would always be calling Tom, his dad, every single night. And but then this one night I come round, and he answered the phone to his son, and he said, "I'm bloody sick and tired of you calling me every single bleeding night. You give it a rest now." And he hung up on him and put the phone down. And I was like, oh shit. Like, dude. Like, to me, this guy's calling for help, right? This guy is calling for help. If I knew someone who was like calling me and texting me all the time, who wanted to, clearly that person just wants to talk, you know. And so I would go, okay, tomorrow I'm going to go around and see this person, and you know, we'll go out for something to eat. We'll go and do something, you know. We'll hang out, you know. This person clearly wants to hang out with someone, and so I was like, oh shit, okay, well, I hope he's alright. And then, yeah, the next week, I come round, and my nan's there, and I sit next to my nan, and I'm going, hello nan, you alright? And she goes, oh, Tom's son has died. And I was like, what? What happened? He killed himself. I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. And I'm like, that was probably the fucking trigger. That's probably the trigger. That's probably why he killed himself. I was like, oh, fuck. You know. And, yeah. So, Tom had a very peculiar way of handling the whole situation. He went to the funeral, and then when he come back, and I come round that evening after the funeral to you know, find out how it went and stuff, and he was sitting next to me, and he was going, them lot, they were bleeding judging me. They said that I was a useless dad. Bloody that the bleeding cheek. They don't know what he put me through. He called me every single bleeding night, and I was like, right. What else did he do? Like, did he do anything else? Yeah, but he was trying to make it about himself, you know. He was trying to make it about himself, and my nan, when he was saying this, my nan's face, there was just like, she had shock, you know. She was looking at me, and she was shocked that he was saying that, you know. So I thought, what the fuck? As if he said that about his son. That, yeah, he just had no understanding for his son or anything. So yeah, that was pretty awful. And Tom just didn't give a shit at all. He didn't give a shit. And yeah. Yes, so he had this kind of I'm right, you're wrong kind of attitude, and he would cause, because some people, you know, didn't want to humour him, or like I just humoured him because he'd just tell me bullshit stories, and I'd see what else I can draw from him. I wouldn't want to sort of ruin it with him or anything, and it wasn't, you know, it's not a big deal anyway. Like, as in, you know, I don't, you know, it's not a big deal to me to want to press him on anything, because he'll probably, you know, he'll probably go, oh yeah, there's no point talking to you, you're not listening, you know. So, but yeah, you talk to my uncles, and my uncles would basically like, they'll press him on certain things, and then he would just go, no, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're talking about, you weren't there, and all this sort of thing. But he used to get his stories completely in a muddle, so that's probably why they would press him on things. But I think it might have been a mixture of bullshit as well. It might be a mixture of him trying to bullshit as well, because he was full of shit. Anyway, yeah, he was causing wedges between the other members of the family and my nan and stuff. And then yeah, but this time, at this time, my nan was she was really deteriorating. She was really deteriorating. She was now in a wheelchair. She had forgotten how to do her own pills when every day she would sort them out, organise them, and then just all of a sudden she was like, "What are these pills for? What do I have today?" And she wasn't the same as I knew her. She was really, yeah, really losing it, and also her hearing was just gone, just gone, and she would just refuse to wear her hearing aid. So yeah, and she never learned to read lips or anything. So it was difficult to communicate with her. But Thomas, he was not helpful at all. He didn't want to know, right? So we had a sort of a carer come in. Well, I say carer, but she a qualified carer, but she was a member of the family. And she come in and to look after my nan and stuff, and she was really good. I really liked. She was great. I would come round, and sometimes my nan would be on the ball. Right, she'd be awake, and I'll say things, provocative things, to get a response from the nurse and that, and then I get a laugh out of my nan. Yeah, she basically sorted out, made sure that she kept putting her hearing aids in, sorted out those hearing aids and all sorts of other intimate things that people need. So yeah, but yeah, she still really, was always happy when I come in, and she had always was smiling when I come in, and yeah, and she would always say to me, "Why haven't you got yourself a girlfriend yet?" And I'd be like, I don't know. I really thought you'd be married by now." I said, "Well, it's a different time now. It's different. It's not as easy as it once was." And she had a level of understanding for that, though. She yeah, she had noticed that things had changed, and yeah, she got it. She understood. And she would say to me, "You would have been better off in my day." So, yeah. But yeah, the nurse, I'd say things to wind her up, and my nan would be sitting there giggling in the background, And yeah, Tom he would get in the fucking way all the time, and he didn't want to help. He didn't want to help at all. He didn't want to. But he would moan that the nurse was coming round, and he would put a word in my nan's ear and say, "You see, they're trying to take over your life. You see, they're trying to take over your life. They're trying to," and it's like, she fucking needs the help. She needs the fucking help. Shut up, you bellend. So he didn't want to do it, But and it would have been, to have a female nurse to come in who's actually qualified and stuff. It is much more appropriate than anybody else. So, but and it made it easier because she was a member of the family as well, and you know, she was fun to wind up. There was the night when I put on Taxi Driver, and I to watch with my nan. I don't know where Tom was. He fucking just fucked off, I think. But we were watching Taxi Driver, and you know, you had the nurse, you had my nan, and there was me watching Taxi Driver, and the nurse is like, I cannot believe you put that on with your nan. I cannot. And I was like, what's wrong with it? She's seen worse. She's seen, you know, she'll watch all sorts of different things. It doesn't matter whether it's violent and got loads of swearing in. She'll literally watch anything. And yeah, my nan, she's sitting there and she's going, that was a very interesting film. That was a very interesting film. And to me, he just wanted to accomplish something with his life. And I'm like, you get it. You get it. Yeah, you know. So that's what happens when people get lonely. And I'm like, you get it. Yeah, you get it. You know what's going on. Yeah. So, what happened next? So we come to about August 2023. See, Tom would always, you know, he'd be taking her out and stuff, and he'd take her out for the day, which is good, which is good. But we would eventually find out later that he was actually using her money to pay for his own shopping and pay for everything, basically. And yeah. So anyway, yeah, she fell down when she come home. She she slipped on the carpet, and in the front room, she broke her hip, and she waited for fucking, it was mad, like what, 5 or 6 hours? No, it was 8 hours. No, yeah, it was 8 hours. Yeah, literally all fucking day. And it was like 1 o'clock at night or something. We were like fucking. That's how long it took for the paramedics to show up. And they on the phone, they're like, oh, just leave her on the floor, you know, just leave her laying there. And so she's like laying on the floor, supporting herself up with her elbow, and she's just going. Imagine doing that, and you got a broken hip, and you're laying on the floor for fucking 8 hours. Jesus, fucking hell, that was, yeah. And yeah, and she got into hospital, and yeah, she ended up being in hospital for months, right? And they had the Indian, you know, doctors and that. They were never fucking about, you know. The nurses and that were never fucking about to help her, you know. They were useless. Just ignore her all the time. And the ward was literally almost empty, so I don't know what the fuck they were doing. But anyway, the Indian doctors, you know, you go and talk to the Indian doctors, right? And so when she the first week she was in there, we said to the doctor, we're like, so when can she come out? You know, when you know, you fixed the hip now, so when can she come out? And he's going, well, we'll get her sorted very quickly, and we'll get her back on her feet, and we'll send her home very quickly, and all this sort of thing. And then another week goes by, another week goes by, and then another week goes by, and then the Indian bloke is like, I don't know, I don't think we can do much for her. She doesn't seem to want to get out of bed, whatever. And yeah, so yeah. But for the first couple of weeks in hospital, for the first month or so, she seemed fine. She was just bored, you know, and so we're bringing her magazines and stuff to read, and yeah. And the nurses, they never helped her put in her hearing aids. So every time we came to see her, we put her hearing aids in for her. So, but she she'd but she was all right. She was mostly with it, you know. But then after a few months, she was there for fucking ages, and we should have got her home as soon as possible, because she was just losing her mind. She was just losing her marbles in there. Yeah. She she was completely losing her mind. She was talking about people who are dead, that they're coming to pick her up. And yeah, she was talking about her dad coming to pick her up and stuff. Oh, well, my dad will be here in a minute. Yeah, she lost her mind, and then it got to the point where she didn't recognise us. She can identify who any of us were, and I'll be like, "Do you remember me, Nan? Do you know who? Do you remember my face?" And she look at everybody kind of like confused. She would have, her eyebrows would come down, and she'd be looking at everybody, and she's like, "I don't know who you people are. I don't know why you're here, you know." And I come in close and say, "Do you remember me, Nan?" And she'd just look at me, and she'd just sort of move away slightly, and she would say, "I don't know who you are, you know." So, and then in December 2023, she passed away. And yeah, when we she looked like a she was she was all skin and bone. She looked like looked like someone else. Anyway, we yeah, we had the funeral, and Tom wasn't invited. That wasn't um, my decision or anybody else's. There was a decision of my uncle's decision, because it turned out Tom was helping himself to money, so they didn't want him around. So fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. I knew her my whole life. You know, she was always there. Yeah. She's just good company. A laugh. Just sit there and talk about anything, you know. And the past. She loved she loved my dog. She loved my dog. He's a well, I haven't always had one. I've had loads of dogs, loads of different dogs. But I've always had mental boxers. I had when I was a kid, I had a white boxer. Um, she was mental. She was a mental dog, and she was lovely. And my nan enjoyed her company. Yeah. Yeah. Then I got a brown boxer after her. He was a rescue, so he was soft. He was very soft, but he was very nervous if you raised your hand above his head. Um, but yeah, he was a lovely old dog. Yeah, had him when he got old and silver, and my nan. And just bring him round to my nan's, you know, and sleep on the sofa or sleep on her feet. And there's the dog I got now. He's different. He's a Labrador, and but yeah, he loved my nan. He was very and he would moan if you could tell they wanted to go and see my nan. You know, he would bite the lead and pull in that direction, and then come in, he'd be asleep on her lap, or he'd be asleep on her feet, or yeah. He's an old man now. Yeah. So, and even after she passed away, he still wanted to go to hers. He still wanted to see her, but obviously he couldn't. Yeah. 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 I remember I remember her saying to me once, you know, I can picture you being married, and I can see you being a good dad. And I don't think you'll have one. I think you'll probably have quite a few. Maybe 4 or 5. And I was like, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. And yeah. I would have liked them to been able to meet her. I mean, that's if I will ever have children. I would have liked her to meet my children. Yeah. This is getting too long, so yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So she meant a lot to me. There was my uncle as well, and you know, he didn't live far. You know, he was her brother. He was always a laugh. He was always a laugh. Yeah. Always telling bad jokes, you know, and we'll be watching like Monty Python or something. So, yeah. Yeah. He was a good bloke. I liked him. Yeah, and I've known him all my life, but he's gone now. Yeah, he passed away this year. Yeah. He was always in his garden. He was always in his garden drinking Old Speckled Hen. And I walked past the wall and I waved at him, and he waved back, and yeah. If I went in there and sat next to him, he'll get me a Old Speckled Hen, and he'll be going, "Look, the pigeons are at it again. Look on the roof over there. They're at it again." Nothing stays the same. Things change, and not always for the better. Yeah. Right. Better go now. It's come to late evening. I've been cooking tagliatelle, chicken, bacon, whatever, onions, mushrooms, white sauce. Well, I've always cooked. I had to learn how to cook quick because I would go hungry. When I was like 12, 11 or 12, I was like, well, there's nobody here, so I'm gonna have to cook something, aren't I? So I almost blew myself up with the gas oven. Yeah, good times. But yeah, I had to learn. Now I can cook anything now. All right. Well, I've talked enough. It's time to go. Yeah. So, all right.